When it comes to the electrical safety regulations, we have, of course, OSHA. So 1910 subpart S and 1926 subpart K for your general industry and construction industry. So OSHA looks to codes and standards, mainly from the NFPA, for how to comply with those requirements. So when we look at OSHA regulations, frankly, a lot of them are pretty outdated. And then you get to the NFPA standards, and they are updated every 3 years for the electrical codes and standards, right? Well, so let's take a look at what codes and standards apply for arc flash. Well, but wait a minute. Did you know, breaking news, the National Electrical Code has the latest edition available. The 2026 edition is available for purchase and/or free access online. So it's time to get up to speed with that one. If you go to the NFPA website, the current edition is the 2026 version, and it has a nice little summary about the types of things that were added or changed. A lot of it is just reorganizing to the style manual that they are putting into effect, but please note that as of September, this past September 2025, it is effective and supersedes all previous editions. Now, why do I mention this? Why am I making a big highlight about that? First of all, it's just exciting because, you know, getting a new code book is like Christmas morning for us electrical nerds out here, but also because of a big change in the 2026 verbiage. Now, before I get into this, I just want to specify that the National Electrical Code has always, at least since I started my career, not always, but has for many years, required arc flash labeling, arc flash hazard marking. Now they've gotten a lot more specific on how it's worded because people, frankly, were trying to find loopholes. They were reading it and trying to figure out, well, how can I do the minimum requirements without actually following the industry standards, such and so forth. And so there were these generic labels that said, warning, arc flash hazards present, follow industry best practices, blah, blah, blah. But no specific information, no actual way to protect themselves or others. Well, the NEC committee, the National Electrical Code, the 2026 edition said, enough of that. We are going to get specific with this. So in 110.16, it has been overhauled. The arc flash hazard marking is not just some generic label indicated, but it's actually going to follow industry best practices, or applicable standards, I should say, such as the NFPA 70E. So as you look through this, you'll notice actually a lot of this verbiage is very similar to what the NFPA 70E has been saying for years, okay? Again, they're just clarifying this was what it was always meant to be. You don't want to just put a generic label. You want something that actually will tell qualified persons what that arc flash hazard boundary is, what the nominal system voltage is, and how to protect themselves, what PPE is required, or the incident energy level that they're going to be facing. One piece of information that is very specific here that wasn't necessarily included previously was the date that the assessment was completed. Now, this is important because, as we know, arc flash studies need to be reviewed at a minimum of every 5 years, and there's other reasons that that date is helpful as well, but now it is required. So there you go. There's your update. There's the breaking news. The 2026 National Electrical Code took out the potential for those silly little loopholes. No more generic labels. We need to get specific about what hazards are actually there so that workers can really protect themselves and others instead of just saying, be safe, be careful. That's not enough. We need to know specifics. I digress. So there's actually 3 codes and standards from the NFPA 70, or NFPA codes and standards, right? So we've got the 70, the National Electrical Code for installation requirements. We've got the 70B for reliability and safety requirements, so the standard for electrical equipment maintenance, which I will say also points out the need for arc flash studies. And we've got the NFPA 70E, which is the consensus standard for electrical safety. Again, the National Electrical Code, the NEC 2026 edition, does still, it did previously as well, directly reference the NFPA 70E for how to get those arc flash hazard markings completed, how to create those labels.